So here we finish with all volatile anesthetics which are currently used. In the textbooks, you will find there is a diethyl ether, but it's banned now, and so I'm not covering it. But still, because it is in the textbook, you can study it for your exam point of view. But whatever anesthetics I have covered are in current use. Now we are moving to the second category of the drug, and that is intravenous anesthetics. The agents which are commonly used as intravenous anesthetic, short-acting, ultra-short-acting barbiturate, thiopental, propofol, benzodiazepine derivative, midazolam, ketamine, and certain opioids. Now we will be starting with why intravenous anesthetics are used. Why you have to give anesthetic by IV route? You have to give that anesthetic by IV route to achieve a rapid concentration, immediate concentration into the circulation, so that rapid induction can take place. And that is why you have to give the drugs by IV route to speed up that speed at what they will move into the brain. That obviously depends upon how well perfused is the brain. So it depends upon the brain blood flow. Duration of the anesthesia will obviously depend upon, because you are putting the drug intravenously, so you are putting the drug into peripheral circulation, and as a result of which, depending upon its lipid solubility, drug may get redistributed. At the same time, it may undergo metabolism. So it depends that how long the anesthesia will occur after you are putting the drug intravenously on these two factors, that how extensively your drug is going to get redistributed and whether it will be subjected to the metabolism or not. The first drug of this category is thiopentone. It is also termed as thiopental. It comes under the category of the barbiturates, and it comes under the subcategory of the barbiturate, that is ultra short acting barbiturate, because it has a very high lipid solubility, and because of which it will immediately cross the blood-brain barrier. But as it crosses the blood-brain barrier, the induction of the anesthesia takes place, no doubt. But what happens is that, being highly lipid soluble, it will be gradually taken up by the lean tissues like muscle tissues also. And then the concentration in the peripheral circulation will fall down. Now the situation will arrive where now the concentration of thiopental in the brain will be higher than that of the peripheral circulation. And reverse will start. The drug which has reached into the brain will now start moving back into the circulation. And therefore, the duration of the action of anesthesia will be very small, and that will be about 5 minutes. This has happened because of the redistribution. The drug started redistributing from the brain back into the circulation, because now the concentration gradient, as I explained you, is reversed. So that's the reason why these drugs fall under the category of the ultra short acting barbiturate. Barbiturates undergo slow metabolism because they, being a lipid soluble, are likely to get deposited into the adipose tissues, and therefore if you give the drug repeatedly, there are going to be the toxic effects on prolonged administration. Thiopental is not associated with analgesic effect. So if you want to relieve the pain along with inducing the anesthesia, you have to give additional opioidal analgesic along with it. It is only used as an inducing drug for the general anesthesia. You have to give another long-acting inhalation anesthetic or intravenous anesthetic for maintenance of anesthesia. If you give the drug alone, the anesthesia will last only for a short period. The disadvantages are that it causes vasospasm, it causes serious depression, and some of the patients have complained about hypersensitivity reactions. Now this is the graph which is showing us the percent dose versus the duration. The dotted line is indicating the concentration of the drug in the blood, and this dotted line is indicating the concentration of the drug in the fat. And you can see there are two peaks. Now this is a time from where we started giving the drug thiopental. It immediately started moving into the brain, But you can see when it has reached to its peak level in the brain, what is the status in the blood? The blood level have declined. But what is the status in the lean tissue like muscle? When the blood concentration has gone down, now the drug started moving from the brain into the circulation, and the concentration into the lean tissues have begun to increase. Well, lean tissues have started taking up the drug. So when the concentration reached to a very high into the lean tissues, you can see again the concentration in the blood has come down, and it is further coming down because now the fat concentration of the drug in the fat has began to increase. So you can see there are two peaks which are usually observed in the blood for the thiopental. The first peak is when the drug just enters and start moving into the brain. And the second peak is the one when the concentration from the brain begins to decline and then it begins to increase into the blood and is being taken up by the lean tissues. So this is the characteristic feature of the thiopental, that it produces a biphasic response. And that is what is redistribution phenomena of a thiopental. And because of the redistribution, it has a very small or a very ultra short duration of the action. And that's why it falls into the category of ultra short acting barbiturates. Being a barbiturate, it majorly gets metabolized into liver. Its elimination T-half is 7 to 12 hours. It shows some residual CNS depression. Although the drug may not be given, but still there will be a residual depression which persists sometimes more than 12 hours. And hence, after giving a thiopental as an inducing agent, patient should not be allowed to leave hospital without attendant before this time. It being, as I already told you, it is a poor analgesic. So if there are painful procedures should not be carried out under just the influence of thiopental, you have to combine opioidal analgesic, or we know nitrous oxide also has a very good analgesic effect, so you can combine it with it. Otherwise, although patient is under anesthesia, he will show struggle or he will show some reflex changes in the blood pressure and respiration if you are not combining it with analgesic. It has a muscle relaxant activity, but it is very weak. It does not irritate any air passage. Yes, but it causes respiratory depression with inducing doses of the thiopental. And if you further increase the doses, respiratory depression is likely to be more severe. Thiopental, as we already seen, it has a cardiac depressant. It reduces the cardiac output. There will be immediate fall in the blood pressure. Not only that, it has a vasodilatory effect. But as the concentration of the drug go on decreasing, the effect will reverse. Now, there is a risk of having a cardiovascular collapse only in those situations if the blood volume is also reduced, or there is a condition like shock or the sepsis is present. Like other drugs, it will not sensitize the heart to adrenaline, and therefore the chances of the arrhythmias are comparatively less. If you ask me what is the therapeutic use of thiopental, thiopental is ultra short acting barbiturate, and it is used only as an inducing anesthetic agent because of its short duration of the action. But if there is any painful operation need to be carried out, it has to be combined with opioidal analgesic. Now we are moving to the next drug, and that is etormidate. Etormidate is another inducing anesthetic, and it also has a brief, like we have seen barbiturate, ultra short acting barbiturate 5 minutes, is slightly more 4 to 8 minutes, less risk of the respiratory depression and cardiovascular depression, which was a risk with the thiopental. But the disadvantage is that there is a motor rigidity, there is a motor restlessness, and especially when there is a injection, there will be a lot of pain. And on recovery from the etormidate anesthesia, patient will experience nausea and vomiting. Over thiopental, it doesn't have much advantage because this also doesn't have any analgesic effect. At the same time, it is also causing certain involuntary movements. It induces certain involuntary movements during the induction. Addition to that, it may cause suppression of the adrenocortical axis, and therefore symptoms like Addison disease will be there. Yes, like thiopenton, it gets immediately metabolized, and that may be the reason why it has a short duration of action. So when we talk about intravenous anesthetic, which receptor becomes the most important? Like barbiturate, we discussed, is a GABA A receptor. But when we talk about benzodiazepine, again the GABA A receptor. So, but then what is the difference between these two? Both the drugs are acting on the GABA A receptor. Benzodiazepine are causing increase in the frequency of the channel opening, whereas barbiturate increase the duration of the channel opening. This is repeatedly I am telling you this difference between benzodiazepine and barbiturate, because both of them have a same receptor, that is GABA A receptor, but they have a different binding sites on the GABA A receptor, and that is why the type of the effect produced by these two drugs on GABAergic receptor also differs. Benzodiazepine will bind to its benzodiazepine binding site and will increase the number of times the channel opening. So as the number of times the channel opening increases, the number of time the chloride entry increases and hyperpolarization increases, and that leads to the CNS depression. Whereas barbiturates will open the chloride ion channel not very frequently, but maybe once or twice, but they will keep the chloride ion channel open for a longer period. So for a longer period, if the chloride ion channel is remaining open, for a longer period hyperpolarization, and that's the reason membrane potential will come down and there will be a decreased activity of the neuron, and that will exert the CNS depressant effect. Now we are coming to the next important IV anesthetic, and that is ketamine. Ketamine is a phencyclidine analog, and it produces dissociative anesthesia. Now, what do you mean by dissociative anesthesia? It is anesthesia where there is a profound analgesia, no sensation of the pain, associated with immobility, lack of memory, amnesia, with light sleep, light hypnosis. And a patient will feel dissociated from his own body and the surrounding. Consciousness may not be altered, but patient is dissociated from his own body and the surrounding. At the same time, there is analgesia. At the same time, there is immobility and a slight sleep is there. Symptoms or these effects are almost similar to the anesthesia, but maybe the person conscious, slightly person may be alert. So if you see the site of the action of ketamine, it mainly acts in the cortical and the subcortical region, and it is not having any effect on the reticular activating system of our brain, which is mainly involved in maintaining our alertness. And that's why its action differs from the other IV anesthetics, because it not acts on the GABA receptor, it mainly acts on the NMDA type of the receptor. As compared to the thiopentone, they have a slow onset of the action. They are associated with certain, ketamine is associated with certain disadvantage, that it may cause cerebral hemorrhage, or it sometimes produces a sensation of the hallucination, dysphoria. This drug is usually given by intravenous or intramuscular route. It does not depress cardiovascular system. It is a very good analgesic. So this is in contrast with thiopentone. The eye and body movements also persist. There is no fixation of the eyeball, which we have learned in volatile anesthetic. Eye and body movements may persist. Even the respiration is not depressed. Our airway reflexes, normal respiration is there. Airway reflexes are maintained. Muscle tone slightly increases, and limb movements may take place. The disadvantage is that it causes hallucination and bad dreams, but that can be reduced by giving another, CNS depressant drug, and that is midazolam, which is a benzodiazepine derivative. This also gets metabolized in liver. Comparatively, duration of action as compared to thiopentone is greater, is about 15 minutes. And this can be used, this is very good for inducing for those type of the conditions where you have to perform repeated dressings, like during burns. If there are severe burns, the repeated dressings are required, which is very painful. And in such situations, ketamine will be preferred over the other drugs. It is usually combined with diazepam, as already discussed. It has found, therefore, the use in various angiographies, cardiac catheterization, and trauma surgery. It may be dangerous for those patients who are hypertensive because it may raise the intracranial pressure and may increase the cerebral blood flow. It is good for the hypovolemic patient. Hypovolemic patient, it will not produce much danger because it doesn't have much effect on the heart, or it doesn't have any cardiac depressant effect. I will request all the students, suppose this meeting gets ended, you have to again enter with the same ID and the password. Okay. Moving ahead, next to the ketamine are benzodiazepine, because ketamine is given in combination with benzodiazepine. So you should know which benzodiazepines can be used as IV anesthetics. Midazolam and a very well-known drug diazepam. They are too slow in the onset and therefore cannot be used as an inducing agent, but can be used along with inducing agent, or you can use them as a pre-anesthetic medication as a part of the anesthetic admixtures. They alone cannot produce the surgical anesthesia, that is a level 3, but they can produce a very useful anterograde amnesia. That patient will not remember about what all things they have undergone during the surgery. There is a slow recovery from the anesthesia, but benzodiazepine antagonists like flumazenil can be used for the speed recovery. So their specific antagonists are available. If you see midazolam, it is water soluble because it has open ring structure. In the body, there is a closure of the ring, and that makes the compound more lipid soluble. Its action is again like barbiturate, is terminated because of the redistribution phenomena. It gets metabolized in the liver. Mechanism of action I have already spoken. It has a GABA facilitatory effect. It has a mild cardiovascular effect, and it also produces respiratory depression. But an advantage of using this drug is that it produces amnesia, loss of the memory. And it can be used with opioids for conscious sedation. If you give a combination of the opioids and diazepam, is alertness will be maintained, skeletal muscle relaxation will be there, hypnosis will be there, and opioids will induce analgesic effect, and that is what is called as a conscious sedation can be induced for minor operations. So this is what is the all you can see acting on the GABAergic receptor: barbiturate, benzodiazepine, propofol, even ethanol. All of them are potentiating the movement of the chloride ions through the GABA receptor. This is a site for barbiturate, picrotoxin. Then, but ultimately, by binding to their respective sites, what they are doing is they are potentiating the movement of the chloride through the GABAergic receptor. Now we are coming to the propofol. The propofol is it can induce comparatively a prolonged sedation. It is similar to thiopental but gets more rapidly metabolized. So it is suitable for one-day surgery. It lacks a tendency to induce involuntary movement or adrenocortical suppression. It is lipid soluble agent and available in the emulsion form. It has a very rapid onset and a short duration of the action. It is given as an infusion. Like thiopental, it will not produce any hangover effect. Its mechanism is not exactly known, but it is proposed that it might be acting through the GABAergic receptor. It causes hypotension, fall in the BP, because of the vasodilatory effect and the cardiac depressant effect. Like thiopental, it doesn't have any analgesic effect, but it has antiemetic effect. It also reduces, because of the vasodilatory effect, it reduces the cerebral blood flow. And a very important thing is that because it has a short half-life is there in the open solution, it may promote a bacterial growth, which is dangerous. So its storage conditions have to be very well maintained. I have given here the example of Michael Jackson. If drug not properly used, what happens is a very good example given to the world by Michael Jackson.